There's solitude. So you have to be ready to deal with that. You can't hide.
Mm-mm.
So it makes
There's nothing to hide under.
It makes you deal with your stuff. It really does.
Yes.
And it's beautiful.
Hi, and welcome to the Desert Lady Diaries podcast, a weekly conversation with women who found their home in the Mojave Desert. I'm Dawn Davis, and this is episode 106. If you'd like more information about the podcast, it's all at the website desertladydiaries.com, and I invite you to engage with the guests, with other listeners, or me on social media, on Facebook and Instagram at Desert Lady Diaries, or on Twitter at Desert Lady Diary.
7 years ago, Shana Rhodes made a trip to the desert inspired by a documentary about a dancer who saved a desert theater. After a 2-week stay in Wonder Valley with her paints and camera, Shana decided to stay. Most of us know and appreciate Shana for her service with a smile at Crossroads Cafe. A self-described gypsy, Shana has settled here in Joshua Tree, recently buying her first home, and has immersed herself in the community and solitude, making art inspired by its unique beauty. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
Good, cool. I'm happy to have you. What was your first experience with any kind of desert?
My first experience with any desert was coming out to Wonder Valley.
Oh, wow.
So I had watched the documentary on Marta Beckett, and I felt so drawn to her, and I said, I have to meet this woman.
For someone who is not familiar with Marta, can you talk a little bit about her and the documentary?
She was quite a famous dancer back in New York City, and she had gone to see a tarot card reader, some kind of fortune teller, and they were like, I keep seeing the word A, you're going to be, and she was like, okay. Left on this long tour with her whole crew and dancer, and their bus broke down in Death Valley Junction. She was walking around and she saw this old, just abandoned theater house that was beautiful. And she was like, I am just drawn to this so much. What is this? And it was Amargosa was the name of the town. And it was complete, there was nothing there. There was nothing left there. It was a mining town. So she ended up buying the theater, the opera house. She painted the entire, everything from every person watching her. And people came from all over to see this lady dance. She found this love and beauty of the desert that the way she described it, just, I wanted it. I wanted to see it. I wanted to see what made her just fall in love with it so much. And she left everything just to move out. And there's nothing there.
Wow.
And she stayed there until she died. And
oh my gosh.
Wild horses and the sunsets. And I said, I have to see this. I'm from Wisconsin.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, what is this?
Right.
You know, Midwest girl that was out in Portland,
Cheese country.
Oregon.
Yeah.
I never ever I've heard of deserts, but I've never experienced it.
Right.
So I packed up a car and was heading to Death Valley, and there's not a lot to stay there. So I found a little spot in Wonder Valley to stay, and it blew my mind.
Wow.
I was in love.
Do you remember what some of the things were that you noticed immediately when you got there?
Immediately is the unique beauty. Driving into this area, I call it Dr. Seuss land, you know, and I love Dr. Seuss.
Yeah.
He's such an awesome man to me. And I was like, this is so unique and quirky and beautiful. And the solitude, especially out in Wonder Valley, you're just... I just would walk around for hours and look, and these abandoned places that were everywhere, and I found this beauty and things that were weathered by the desert out here, You were just like, they're still standing, And
after you came and made that trip and you were here for like the 2 weeks.
I was here 2 weeks,
okay.
Yeah.
So did you immediately just say, I'm not going back? Or did you go back? You didn't?
I went back and then I made 2 more trips after to come down here. And I did the same kind of thing. I brought a friend down once who had never seen. Another time I did another solo trip. And I was actually sitting in Crossroads Cafe by myself.
That's ironic.
I know. I was like... The rain got to me in Portland, Oregon, so it's beautiful, but I also didn't feel this connection with the city that I was kind of hoping for. And I thought, what would it be like to just pick everything up and move and try something new? We get stuck so many times in areas because it's familiar. So as I was crossing that trip and crossing the border from California into Oregon, the gray clouds were there. It started raining, and I said, I'm leaving in 6 months.
Wow.
And I got back and I told my job. I'd been at the same place for 7 years. My boyfriend I was with for 7 years. My friends. And I said, hey, I can't I don't thrive here. Like, I don't flourish here.
Yeah.
So I said, I'm leaving in 6 months. And nobody really believed I would do it. And I did. 6 months later.
Good for you.
I found a house online on Craigslist. I had no job. I didn't know a single person at all. It was very scary. And I went right to Crossroads Cafe. And I was like, I'm just going to try this.
Yeah.
And I got hired.
Wow.
On my birthday.
Oh.
So I was like, all right. Okay.
Yeah. So many times this sort of story comes up in these conversations, and it is just such a, I don't know, there's just this magic place. And if you are meant to be here, those kind of things happen. You find the house, you find the job, then you find your people. It just,
it opens up.
Absolutely. So
It
how did that
embraces
start
you.
for you once you got here and you got in your place? And how did you start getting out in the community and meeting? Or was it a function of being in a place in town where a lot of people come in?
That was huge. It
Right.
was really huge. I got to know so many of the locals that would come in early before the rest of the tourists would come in, and they embraced me and wanted to talk about the beauty of the place and the uniqueness. The people who are here love it,
Right.
and I don't think, I was just so glad to be introduced to those people who just instantly were like, let's go see this, let's go do this. I was like, oh my gosh, okay. Yeah, like you said, it embraces you if you're meant to be here.
Right.
So I felt that instantly.
That's
and
cool.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it.
So now, on your original trip, you had brought your paints and camera. Did any work come out of that for you?
A lot of painting came
Yeah.
out, and a lot of camera work. I have not picked up my camera in years, which is unfortunate, but plan on doing that soon. But I still paint a lot. I think I was painting, the landscape inspires me here, the sky inspires me here. So I look at my paintings and I'm like, there's always these bright pink, purple, very colorful paintings in the skies, and I watch them a lot and listen to them.
Well, that's what I do right there.
Yeah.
Out the window. Morning,
You stop.
evening. Well, that's what it is. Yeah, I've had people over sometimes. Kimberly. She's been here, and we were talking about something, and I looked at her and I go, we have to go outside right now. Just because you can see what's happening outside and you're drawn to it, you need to go. And I think that's another really beautiful part about living here, is that even though we do our work inside for the most part, it's an interesting phenomenon, because as soon as, like with social media especially, you'll see all of the sudden at the same time each day people are posting, the sunrise or the sunset. And it's like, it's this weird thing of, we're all in our separate little 2.5 acres, 5 acres, small apartments, but we're all stopped and watching this happen together, which is kind of cool.
It's kind of amazing. Like, you're driving home and there's people pulled over and it's not tourists. I mean, it is. But a lot of it, it's just, we're still are moved by that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think there was only one person that I've interviewed so far who said, oh, you get over that. And I'm like, I don't know.
I can't.
I don't think.
I really can't.
The day that happens, that would be sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's interesting that you talk about your 7 years of 7-year boyfriend, 7-year job, and here for 7 years. Because for me, that's kind of been my number to like move on to the next thing. So that's really, it was interesting when I heard you talk about that. Yeah. So I'm sure there's a lot of people that wonder what it is like to work at Crossroads with so many different people coming in and out, and tourists and combination of locals. What is that like on a daily basis? And can you give some people some tips of what don't do this, and we really like it when you do this?
Okay.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm actually very much an introvert, so it's weird that what I do for a living is talk to people all day, but it forces me. And I love people, and I don't know how to always make that connection, but if I'm doing it while working, I love sharing tips with people and getting to know people and stuff like that. So what's fun for me is, and some people will be like, don't tell the tourists where to go. Well, I don't tell them the secret spots. Right. But there's many places they wouldn't know about, and we live in a pretty magical place. And I moved here, everybody. I don't know a lot of people that are. I know of a
fair amount, right?
You know,
right.
But it's like you want people to share in the beauty of that, and to get excited about that. It's fun getting to talk to people every day. You meet so many interesting people that are coming through now, movie shoots and model shoots and all this other stuff. But I just like talking to people. The hangry hour we talk about at Crossroads, so that's around 1 o'clock.
Oh, that's interesting.
So,
tell me about that.
That's when people have waited too long to eat. So that's the only, like, major thing. I'm just like,
Okay.
you know, it's not my fault that you kind of waited until the last minute when you were hungry and everybody did and that we're
Right.
busy, and people get very angry because we are working our butts off there. That is a machine, the way they run.
Well,
it is amazing.
Yes. And the funny thing is, you should say that, because I sat there one day, I was sitting at the counter, because that's what happens when you start to live here. It's like, you're not going to be one person taking up a foretop.
Right.
You're just not going to do it. So I'm sitting at the counter, and I just watched everything happen. And I think I described it to someone as this kind of ballet that happens.
It's a dance.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you watch the orders go in. They are moving around that small little kitchen where they're also dishwashing on the opposite side. And then the servers are in and out and picking. It's just, like a ballet. That's the best way I can describe it.
When you find the team that can dance together like that in all those things, I mean, it works. And that's what it is. And I haven't worked, and I say the machine, you know, but I'm like, I haven't worked in something that's that dialed in, where if you're coming in and you're in a bad, you drop that off the door. You can't, you know, you're like, I'm here to talk and to get to know people and we're feeding people. It's an amazing thing. It's an amazing experience. You know, Chris likes to sing all the time.
Yeah.
People are always like, oh, you just brightened my day. And he does, you know, spreading smiles. I'm like, that's what we're doing.
Exactly.
You know, like
right.
we're
It's not
setting
brain
them off.
surgery, right?
No.
Yeah, but don't be mistaken. For anyone who hasn't done that job,
it's hard.
It is hard work.
It's hard work.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
also, just like, I just want people to talk to me with respect. It's when they start kind of treating you as though you're a servant instead of, you know, like, hey, let's...
a person.
We're actually on the same. No, I don't care what you do. You know, we all are just human beings trying to make it in this world. We're going to do that because we respect and love each other, not because we're putting ourselves in different
Categories
categories and stuff. Like, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
So... that you see a little bit more with the tourists than obviously you do with the regulars, you know,
because we
know.
we get it.
We get it. So it's also, you know, you just educate people in a really nice way. Hey, don't say that. Like, oh, I got that.
Right.
We're all working as hard as we can. I guarantee you that.
Right.
I said that to somebody and it was very angry. And he's like, and I said, I guarantee you everybody's working as fast as they can right now. And he goes, yeah, you're right. You're right. I'm sorry. I'm just hungry. I'm like, it's okay.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting because it's usually, you know, it's kind of like that thing when you start approaching this space of being aware.
Yeah.
And recognize that what's coming at you 9 times out of 10 doesn't have anything to do with you.
Absolutely.
And it's everything about whatever's going on in their head, whatever happened just before they got there, whatever phone call they got driving in the car to the restaurant, whatever happened. It's really like about that.
Yeah. It goes back to the 4 agreements. Don't take things personally, you know, like so many times. And I would like to be a person who changes that, you know, like if it's that one person that did put a smile on your face for that one day.
Right.
Which can be exhausting at the end of the day. Like,
of course, especially if you're an introvert.
Yeah, I need to go home and recharge. And people will be like, oh, come out. I'm like, I can't. I've spent my entire day talking and
pardon my French, but I like to say I blew my load.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, my energy's done.
Yeah, because pancake breakfast, when I do that up at the Mesa, it's like, hi, how are you? Do you want to add oatmeal for $1 more? Okay, that'll be $14. Hi, how are you? Do you want to add oatmeal for $1? You know, it's just, it's a constant, exactly. And it's necessary then to just take that time to be quiet. Yeah. So in your quiet hours, when you're not at the restaurant and you're at home in your new home, what are you doing? What do you do to unwind?
This is my dogs mostly. You know, I got 2 dogs.
Okay.
My children.
What are their names?
Billie and Henry, and they're just my lights. So I look forward to getting home with them and, you know, just spending. It's hard in the summer.
Sure.
Can't be outside. So I'm like, okay, we go outside and sit in the shade for a bit when I get home. And I've got the cowboy tub. And I've got one that loves to go sit in there with me.
Oh,
she just chills. But yeah, you know, I love the peacefulness of my home. And this, and there's an art of doing nothing. To me, like the art of doing, I like to sit in complete silence with my book. You know, that's what I want to do for at least 2 hours when I come home. I'm like, I'm going to pick up my book and just sit there. Mm-hmm. And that I just got a television, which is weird. I got it for my dogs, which sounds so funny, but it's like a babysitter when I'm gone. Apparently they watch it now, so it's funny. I was like, they like Bob's Burgers. All right, that's cool. But it's the first time I'd have television in my house for probably about 10 years.
Wow, yeah.
You know, it's like I just, I like to disconnect. Yeah. Because I feel like so much is, even with my phone, you know, doing this, like, put it away.
Exactly.
Put it away. Sit with your dogs. I love to paint. I haven't done that since I moved into my house because I'm doing little projects.
Okay.
I've got my painting room set up and ready for me to go.
Great, because you just recently did start kind of getting back into that in general, if I remember correctly, and you submitted a work to one of the Saturday nights at the Beatnik, and it had crows.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that, because we said we were going to, and we haven't had that opportunity, because whenever I come into Crossroads, you're out of your mind serving food.
That's true.
Yeah.
I started painting, I wouldn't say very long ago, maybe like 10 years ago, and it was because a friend was getting rid of some stuff, and I was trying to meditate. I was trying to go to these meditation. I was living in Chicago at the time, so they had different Buddhist temples to go to, and I found a really hard time, and I was like, I'm trying to do it, but it's very hard for me. And I did a walking meditation, which was amazing. That helped me, and I thought maybe movement. And another friend said, I think you should try painting and do something they call like an unconscious painting, you know, so you don't even think about what you're going to be painting when you start until the picture appears. And it's a form of meditating for me. So I've never pre-thought of what my painting should be. I sit down, I pick colors that I'm drawn to, I throw them on a canvas, and I finger paint.
Oh, wow.
And let my mind think, and then I create a painting. And so that's how every way I've ever done. I didn't know it was a thing. Somebody explained it to me, and I was like, oh, so it existed. Yeah. Okay, I didn't know. I've never taken an art class. I was like, okay, I don't know these things, so this is great.
Yeah.
And it's very meditative and therapeutic for me. So
wonderful.
Yeah, and then I just fell in love with it. And I thought, this is amazing.
So when you did that painting with the crows, did that happen in that kind of, what would you call that? I don't know. Medium.
Zone. Yeah,
in your
totally.
zone.
Just like I'm in my zone. Yeah, and it was out here, and it was right when I first moved out here, and I've always been a fan of crows. I feel like they arrive when I need them to, and send me in the right direction or offer me peace. Some people are always like, oh, crows, ravens, and I'm like, no, for so many different, I mean, it's my spirit animal. I feel like I lost a cat out here. She died of old age. She was 23 years old.
Oh my gosh.
But my best friend, you know, 5 states, she's lived with me and traveled with me, and I was just like, well, I don't know what to do. And I had all these crows show up the day she was dying, and I just was like, okay, it's her time. And I know that, and it was like, you have to let that go. You can't just...
And kind of like, we're here to take her wherever she is.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
And so that was a huge part of that painting. It was just kind of like, when I started just working with the colors of the sky at the time, and then a lady started talking to me about the different symbols. I said, I can't even tell you what they mean. I don't know.
It just comes out,
They just came out.
Yeah.
I loved it. So. And I've shown twice now, which is really amazing.
Okay. Yeah. So when you decided to do it the first time, how did that happen?
So it was at the Beatnik Lounge, and I just had somebody talking to me about it, like, you should do that, and really, like, kind of pushing me. And I thought, I've never thought about doing that, because this will sound weird, but I said, I don't know if I'm strong enough to take the criticism that comes with sharing, you know? Like, I was like, I don't know if I have that shell yet. Like, some people can take the criticism. I was like, I want to be able to take the criticism, but I don't know if I'm that strong yet. And I thought, you know, sometimes I never thought I would ever show. And then I was like, well, you know, it's a personal piece. Everything I do is pretty personal. But so many artists that I love share personal experiences. Yeah. And I thought, maybe it'll touch somebody. Maybe somebody will get something from it. It'll be cool. And I had a lot of positive feedback, and that felt good. Yeah. Because it's a fear.
Of course.
And when you conquer a fear, that just feels really good.
So now the second time you showed, did you submit the same painting?
I didn't. I did four different pieces the second time. And again, I felt good. I didn't sell anything, and it's funny because somebody was like, oh, you should try to sell some stuff, and I go, I don't really know if I even want to, because I feel like they're my babies, maybe at some point, you know, but I was like, I look at them and I'm like, it's not something that just happens overnight, so I've spent like 8 months working on this. And
birthing it.
Yeah, and I'm like, I like it in my house. I mean, I want to share it.
Right.
And maybe someday, you know, I'll get to that point, but it's something I do for myself, but it feels good to talk to other people who are sharing their work, and that's the only reason, really. It just was like conquering a fear.
Well, and like you said, making that connection, even if it is just with one person who sees something in it that makes them think about something or brings up something for them, and that's,
and talking to other artists too. I mean, there's so many out here, and they're so supportive. I don't know if I necessarily... I mean, the first show I did was with Daughters of the Desert, and it was the Sear show, and I kind of talked a little bit to them, and I was like, I feel really... They're like, oh, you have to. And it's like, this will be my first time. Oh, you have to. And there's this nurturing love. Encouragement from the women out here, you know, and I was just like... I didn't feel afraid
because you had that support.
Yeah.
Which is...
I was like, I'm going to do it, and it felt really empowering and strong, and I was like, oh my gosh. And I felt like everybody's got my back right now.
Yeah.
It's okay, I'm not going to fall. You know, like, it's okay.
Yeah, they got you.
Totally.
Talk to me about, is this the first house you've ever owned?
Yeah. Yeah. I never thought I'd do that, ever.
How did you decide to make that decision? I mean, even just to say, this is, you know, a place where I want to put these roots down.
Yeah. I felt pretty strong that I wasn't going to be leaving for a while. It's always so hard for me to say forever. I don't know why. But forever is just a thing that you never know what happens.
Right.
Then I loved my place in Morongo. I was renting a place in Morongo, and I loved it.
Dude, that's a long ride every day to Crossroads.
It was.
Oh, man.
It's such a beautiful spot.
Oh, it is nice out there.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And my landlord was just back and forth between selling. And when I found that house, I had been looking for a long time. I have 2 big dogs. I have 2 cats. I needed a fenced-in yard, you know, and a lot of people, I had a puppy at the time, you know, so a lot of people were like, 2 big dogs and one's a puppy. Rent was changing hugely out here, like, dramatically. I couldn't believe it, and I was like, oh my gosh. And 2 friends had just bought a house, you know, and they go, you actually could be paying the same amount in mortgage that you're paying in rent. And I was like, no. Because I've never in my life thought about buying a house.
Right.
I thought that seems really stressful. I feel too young. I'm not too young, but my brain is like, I'm 12.
Right. Yeah.
You can't do that. That's a lot of responsibility.
Right.
And I thought, well, I'm just gonna look. I'm just gonna put it out there and start looking. And I looked and was looking with my realtor, and it was not too much out there, you know, within my price range. It was changing. It's changing constantly.
Absolutely.
So. Yep. I sat down and I made a list of, like, this would be my dream house. These are the things that I would get. And within a week, it was online.
What?
The house, in the location. And I called I said, I need to see this house today. Like, today.
Like now.
Like now.
Yeah.
So I did. I was the first person to see it, the first person to put an offer. Wow. I was in escrow for 30 days, which went much longer. It was the most stressful thing I've ever gone through. Everybody's like, well, the second time was easier. I'm like, what? Okay, well, that was so stressful.
I'm just swallowing this.
Yeah.
Give me
so
a break.
Stressful.
Yeah.
You know, working on my credit, and then all of a sudden you take out a loan. And I went to the top of where I could go, you know, and I was like, okay. This is now I owe this amount of money.
Yeah, you're right.
So everybody, congratulations, you're a homeowner. I go, not for 30 years. Why does everybody keep saying that to me? It's really stressful. And they go, no, you're a homeowner. I go, but I'm not. Yes, you are. Okay.
If you say so.
If you say so.
Yeah.
But it's exciting.
I bet.
It's really exciting.
Is it too personal for me to ask, were you pre-approved, or did you go through the process once you found the house?
I was pre-approved for a certain amount.
Okay.
But it was a little over, so I had to go through it.
Okay.
Stuff,
Gotcha.
So,
yeah, and that seems to be like the trend, because I've asked a couple of other people that recently bought, you know, within the last year, let's say. And I went to see it, I put the offer, and it was done. I was like, okay, note to self before you go. Yeah, because I had an experience a couple of months ago. Well, actually, it's probably about a year ago now. A little place on Sunburst came up that was like what? Mm-hmm. It ended up going for $16,000 more than the list.
Yeah.
And I couldn't compete with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, things have changed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just in 7 years. I mean, I've only been here 3 and it's changed, but I'm sure you've seen a lot of change. Yeah. So are you in Joshua Tree now, or are you still in Morongo?
I'm in Landers.
Oh, nice.
I'm Landers.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
That's a better commute.
It is a better commute. I love it.
Yeah.
I really love it.
Nice.
2.5 acre. I wanted some
Oh,
land.
great. Yeah,
I'm close to the Integratron and to.
Beautiful.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful to me.
Yeah.
Really, I love it.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. Sometimes I'll just be like giggling because I'm like, I can't believe I did it. And it was really pretty much like move-in ready. I ripped out the carpet and I was like, I want concrete floors, so I did that by myself. I called around.
Good for you.
And people were like, oh, that'll be $1,000, and I was like, my dad said, whatever you can do by yourself, you do by yourself. So I said, I wonder if I could do that.
Yeah.
No, it was hard. That machine was like,
yeah.
But it feels good. Like I was like, I did that. I ground those floors down. I polished it. I put a nice sheen on. And it's like, okay, I'm done for a while.
That's wonderful.
It's
beautiful. My gosh. Yeah, and like you said, realizing that you did it yourself, it really, that is empowering.
I want everything I do now. I'm kind of like, I want to learn. I want to do it myself. Yeah. I want to figure out how to do that because I can, and it's important to learn that stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I think so.
So for someone who would come into Crossroads and you're waiting on them and they say, you know what, Shana, I'm thinking about moving here. What kind of things would you tell them?
That happens a lot.
Oh, does it?
It
really?
does. I have friends that come out here. And I had 2 friends that moved out here, and I thought I prepped them of everything, but they were like, "Oh, I gotta go."
Well,
but a lot of
for everyone.
It's not, and a lot of people be like, "Oh, they're curious, like how, what are you doing out here?" Because they don't never, they're visiting, like, how does somebody live out here? And you have to be. There's solitude, so you have to be ready to deal with that. You can't hide. So it makes
there's nothing to hide under.
It makes you deal with your stuff. It really does.
Yes.
And it's beautiful. And I have to tell people, you gotta hustle. This is our slow season. So usually when in season, I work about 5 jobs and I'm doing this, that, and that's what you do.
Right.
And you're like, oh, I love being part of that, because when we're busy, moving. Summer's nice. That's when we relax. We get back into like our things that make us who we are, that we enjoy, what we're doing outside of our work.
Exactly.
So you gotta hustle. You gotta be prepared for the solitude, and that it will take you anywhere you go. All my friends live half hour away from me, so things close down by 9 o'clock at night. We move with the sun out here, so. I mean, the desert.
I love that.
I do too, It's like, I'm up before the sun, actually, in the summer, because the summer mornings are cool. And it's a time to just embrace that kind of I put a little robe on today.
Yeah, just to be outside, and it's even more quiet.
Yeah.
Which I love.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's amazing.
See the Milky Way. It's pretty amazing. Right. But I think people who are still looking for, there's a certain age group, like if you're in your 20s or 30s, I don't know, like people still want to go out, and I don't go out very often, it's not on my list of top priority things to do. I want to have dinner with a close friend, and most of the time at one of our houses. Not that there's not great restaurants, it's still quieter,
and you can really linger, and it's no pressure coming. Are you ready for your bill yet?
I mean, there's a million things that go on out here, which is awesome. There's so many different art shows and music. Everything, art's happening every night. So if you wanted to do those things, you could. But hey, you're gonna have to drive a while. If drinking's part of your lifestyle, you probably don't do that. Right. Because you got about a 40-minute drive home.
Yeah, exactly. Too dangerous.
It's not gonna happen
cool.
out here. It's not cool. And you need your car.
Absolutely.
So some people it's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. The heat. Some people don't like. I love it. I like it. Well, I don't like, 110.
Right.
With 40% humidity.
Yeah. We only have a few of those days.
I know. Exactly.
Which is fine.
And then we have the nights, though.
Exactly. And they're beautiful. So good.
Every single part of the day, of every day out here, there's some part of beauty where you sit outside and you're like,
Yeah, and whether it's the static of the landscape or the scurrying of all the different critters that come and go. And yeah, it's really beautiful. And if you work at home, which I do sometimes, it can become difficult to get some things done because you're looking like, oh, what was that? Oh, look at the hummingbird, you know? Yeah. So.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for coming and talking with me today. We always see each other, you know, in passing. It's usually at Crossroads, and it's usually you're, you know, handing out plates and picking up plates and
running around,
doing your thing as you should be. So we don't really get a chance to sit down and really talk to each other. So I'm glad we had this today.
Thank you.
Thanks for making the time. Before you go, I would love for you to select 4 random numbers between 1 and 50.
Okay. 11.
My favorite number.
That's mine too. It is. 15.
Okay.
33.
Okay.
43.
43. Okay. And if you would like to hear Shana's answers to these questions, you can go to desertladydiaries.com, click on the support page, and check out the Patreon option. My patrons generously support this podcast, and I'm very grateful for that. The first question that we will answer in your Diary Unlocked portion is, what do you work toward in your free time? Then, was there a trait you recognized in yourself at a young age that you still use or has led you to a particular vocation? What was your most memorable birthday? 1 year from now, what will you be celebrating? So if you would like to hear Shana's answers to those questions, desertladydiaries.com and click on the support page. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
I have shout outs this week to Kat J. Thank you so much for your beyond generous donation to the podcast. I really appreciate you so much. And to last week's guest and new Patreon supporter, Heather. Heather, thank you so much for signing on to be a monthly supporter of the podcast. It really means a lot. The podcast survey will officially close down this coming Friday, September 20th. So if you've been waiting to do it, this would be the week to complete it. It's 10 questions and takes less than 10 minutes. And you can always send me any feedback anytime by email to desertladydiaries@gmail.com. There are some specific things I'm asking about in the survey, though. So if you are so inclined and would go out and take the survey, that would be awesome. If you've ever wanted to dip into the sci-fi pool, here's my friend Jean-Paul to tell you where you can try it on.
Science fiction stories and interviews blasting straight out of the Mojave Desert and beyond. Space Cowboy Books presents Simultaneous Times Podcast. Free to stream on your favorite podcast player. Find out more at spacecowboybooks.com and be sure to visit our store in Joshua Tree, California.
I'll see you back here next week. Thanks so much for listening.